There are moments in life when the weight on your shoulders feels heavier than the strength in your arms. Times when the walls are closing in, the doors are locked, and every road you look at seems to lead to a dead end. You've prayed, you've cried, you've tried, and still it feels impossible. But I came to tell you today, what is impossible for man is possible for God. God has a reputation for stepping in right when it looks like there is no way. He specializes in impossible places. He does his best work in the middle of your worst storm. He doesn't wait until the sun is shining and the waters are calm. He shows up when the boat is rocking, when the thunder is roaring, when the waves are crashing, because it is in your impossibility that he reveals his ability. When life feels like it has backed you into a corner, when every option you thought you had is closed, when every door you knocked on stayed shut, that is not the end of your story. That is the exact stage God sets to perform his greatest miracles. God does not need ideal circumstances to move. In fact, he does his best work when the situation looks the worst. When Sarah's womb was barren, he gave her a son. When Lazarus was 4 days in the grave, he raised him back to life. When the children of Israel stood with the sea before them and Pharaoh's army behind them, he split the waters in two. Hear me when I tell you, your impossibility is not a punishment, it is a platform. It is the stage where God shows himself mighty. What you call the end is where God says, now watch me begin. What you call over, God calls opportunity. So don't despise your impossible places. Don't curse the moment when your back is against the wall. That's the moment when God is about to reveal a power you've never seen before, a glory you've never experienced before, and a breakthrough that you could not manufacture on your own. The impossible is where he shines the brightest. God is not intimidated by your Red Sea moments. He is not nervous when you're surrounded, trapped, or pressed on every side. In fact, he specializes in the places that look like there's no escape. He thrives in the very situations that seem impossible to man. The children of Israel were hemmed in, the Red Sea before them, Pharaoh's army behind them, and mountains on both sides. There was no exit, no plan, no way of escape. And yet it was in that impossible place that God rolled back the waters and carved out a highway where there had never been one. That's how God works. He doesn't just open doors. Sometimes he builds a door where there wasn't even a wall. He doesn't just clear a path. Sometimes he makes a brand new one in the middle of the wilderness. That's why he said, behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Your impossible place is not a dead end. It is a setup. God wants you to know that he is not confined to human logic, not restricted to natural laws, and not limited by what you see. Where you see a wall, he sees an opening. Where you see defeat, he sees deliverance. Where you see no way, he whispers, I am the way. So don't be afraid when you find yourself trapped in a corner. That's where God's specialty is revealed. Impossible places are not obstacles to him. They are opportunities for him to display his glory. Storms may terrify you, but they don't terrify God. The winds may howl, the lightning may strike, and the waves may crash, but none of it shakes the throne of heaven. The storm that overwhelms you does not overwhelm him. The storm that confuses you does not confuse him. The storm that feels like it's going to take you under is the very place where God reveals that he is still in control. Remember the disciples on the boat? The storm came suddenly, tossing them side to side, filling the vessel with water. They were seasoned fishermen, but even their skill could not handle. The furnace may have been heated 7 times hotter, but the hotter it got, the greater the testimony became. Don't ever think that the intensity of your fire means the absence of your God. The fact that the flames are rising higher is proof that God is about to show himself stronger. The three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to bow to the idol of Babylon. They made up their mind that even if it cost them everything, they would not compromise their faith. And for their faithfulness, they were thrown into a fiery furnace so hot that the men who carried them in were consumed by the flames. But when the king looked into the furnace, he saw not 3 men bound, but 4 men walking free. And the 4th man looked like the Son of God. Hear this, the fire that was meant to kill them only released them. The furnace that was designed to destroy them became the platform for God's glory to be revealed. They went in bound, but they came out free. They went in threatened, but they came out promoted. They went in as ordinary men, but they came out as living testimonies of God's power. Your fire is not your finish, it is your testimony. The enemy thinks the heat will break you, but God is using the heat to prove you. What should have burned you will build you. What should have ended you will elevate you. And when you come out of the fire, you won't even smell like smoke, because God doesn't just deliver you, He preserves you. So don't despise the fire. Don't curse the flames, because in the middle of that furnace, you're going to see God like you've never seen Him before. And your fire will not be your shame. It will be your testimony. Every attack the enemy has launched against you was designed to break you, but God flips the script and turns it into a testimony that magnifies His glory. The very thing that was meant to take you out is the very thing God will use to lift you up. Look at Daniel in the lion's den. Hungry lions, sharpened teeth, a sealed stone rolled across the entrance. It was a death sentence. The king himself had no power to deliver him. But when morning came, Daniel was still alive. Why? Because God had sent His angels to shut the mouths of the lions. What was designed to destroy Daniel became a demonstration of divine protection. And the entire kingdom saw that the God of Daniel is the living God. That's how your story will unfold. The pit that was dug for you will become the platform where God shows His power. The weapon that was formed against you will not prosper. It will backfire. The trap that was set to end you will end up exposing the greatness of your God. Understand this. The enemy's greatest mistake is underestimating your God. He thought Job's loss would silence his worship, but it only magnified it. He thought Joseph's prison would bury his dream, but it positioned him for the palace. He thought the cross was the end of Jesus, but it became the door to resurrection power. So don't be afraid of what's been said against you. What the enemy meant for evil, God will turn for good. Your trial is going to become your testimony. Your weakness will showcase His strength. And when the story is told, nobody will be talking about the attack. They'll be talking about the God who brought you through it. The thing that was meant to destroy you will display His glory. There are moments in life when you feel like you've been buried. The weight of disappointment, the dirt of betrayal, the pressure of failure, it feels like life has thrown you into a grave. People may have walked away, circumstances may have covered you, and you feel hidden, forgotten, and left behind. But let me tell you something, you are not buried, you are planted. There's a difference. When something is buried, it's two. End. When something is planted, it's the beginning. Burial is for death, but planting is for life. Burial is final, but planting is fruitful. Burial covers you to end you, but planting covers you to... Life will hand you rejection slips. People will tell you no. Systems will try to disqualify you. Doors will slam in your face. Opportunities will be withheld. You may even hear 1,000 voices telling you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. But when God says yes, no devil in hell and no man on earth can override His decision. Man's no is temporary, but God's yes is eternal. Man's no is based on opinion, but God's yes is rooted in His divine purpose. You don't need the approval of everybody when you have the favor of God. One yes from heaven can cancel out every no from man. Ask Joseph. His brother said no when they threw him into a pit. Potiphar's wife said no when she lied on him and dragged his name into scandal. The prison bars said no when they locked him away. But when God said yes, Joseph rose from the prison to the palace in one day. Ask David. His own father said no when he didn't even invite him to the lineup to be anointed. His brothers said no when they mocked him for standing on the battlefield. Saul said no when he doubted his ability to fight Goliath. But when God said yes, David walked into destiny with a sling and a stone, and the giant fell flat. Ask Jesus. The religious leaders said no. The Roman soldiers said no. The nails in his hands said no. The stone in front of the tomb said no. But when God said yes, death lost its power, the grave lost its victory, and the stone rolled away. Child of God, you don't need to beg for man's approval when you already carry God's affirmation. Their rejection is just redirection. Their denial is just divine setup. God's yes will override every no, and when he opens a door, no one can shut it. Faith is the master key that opens doors no man can shut. Faith is not wishing, it's not hoping, it's not crossing your fingers, it is stay. Ending flat-footed in the middle of impossibility and declaring, my God is able. The Bible says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. That means faith is the currency of heaven. It is the language God responds to, the evidence that you trust him when nothing around you makes sense. Faith doesn't wait to see the way before it moves. It moves because it knows the Waymaker. When Joshua and the children of Israel stood before the walls of Jericho, those walls were thick, tall, and fortified. Logic said it was impossible. Strategy said it couldn't be done. But faith said, shout, march, and believe. And when they obeyed in faith, the walls crumbled without a hammer being lifted. When the woman with the issue of blood pressed through the crowd, she had no guarantee she would be healed. The doctors had already failed her, and society had already labeled her. But faith pushed her forward. Faith stretched her hand. Faith whispered, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. And in that moment, power flowed. Faith is not ignoring reality. It's believing that God is greater than reality. Faith doesn't deny the mountain. It speaks to the mountain and says, be thou removed. Faith doesn't cancel the storm. It trusts the one who rides on the storm. Child of God, if you can believe, all things are possible. Faith will unlock doors, break chains, part seas, heal bodies, restore families, and shift destinies. You may not see the way right now, but your faith says he is still making a way. So hold on to your faith, protect it, feed it, guard it, because faith is the key that unlocks the impossible. Child of God, hear me today. Life will hand you moments that feel too heavy, too painful, too impossible. The seas will rise, the fires will rage, the lions will roar, the storms will crash. You will have days when you feel buried, forgot, rejected, and shut out. But that is not where your story ends. Because impossibility is the stage for God's greatest miracles. He specializes in places where there is no way. He calms storms with